I'm so happy and excited to be here. My name is John Arnott. I'm the CEO of C1M. I'm also the author of the book, The AI Imperative. And tonight I'm going to share with you how conversational AI is enabling human connection, breaking boundaries, and strengthening bonds. But before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about how we got where we are today. Now, I'm not going to go all the way back to the 1950s and talk about how AI started. I'm going to start in 2017. 2017 is when Google published a paper about the transformer. That's right, the T in GPT. The transformer changed everything for us. Well, what is a transformer? Well, you have these networks of concepts and they're all interconnected. And that was great, but you never got really good answers. What a transformer does is it connects concepts that are similar, even if they're not in the same sentence. And it allows these systems to answer questions in a way that are more thoughtful. Well, in 2017, that happened. In 2022, we got ChatGPT, based on GPT 3.5. And that allows us to do even more with this transformer technology. But I'd like to share a few stories with how this is evolving to help the human connection between human and machine and human. The first story is about a telecommunications company. They created a conversational AI, a chatbot. Her name is Cora. And her job was to help people when they had internet issues. Well, Danette, one of her longtime customers, is a graphic designer, and she relies on internet connection to do her job. She relies on it to interact with her clients. She relies on it to share files. She relies on the internet to do and use the software that allows her to do her job. One day she was having a bunch of issues, and she pulled her phone out and she started chatting with Cora. Now Cora was trained not just on all of the manuals and everything that a customer service agent uses. Cora was trained to have emotional intelligence. And when Danette got on that chat, she was typing really fast and using a lot of words that cued Cora. And Cora didn't just jump in to try to solve her problem. What did Cora do? I understand that this is frustrating, especially when it impacts your work. Let's work this through together, step by step. Does that sound good? That's how Cora opened up the conversation. Now, Cora is a system, and Cora is connected to all the other systems at this telecommunication company. So Cora knows the hardware that Danette has in her office. Cora knows what subscription plan she's on. So Cora can help Danette one step at a time. Okay, go to the box that says Motorola on it. Flip the switch on and off. What color are the lights? And on and on. Well, in this situation, ultimately Cora determined that Danette needed a technician to come out to the house. So Cora scheduled a time with a technician that's convenient for Danette, and they came out. Then the conversation ended. Shortly thereafter, Danette got a text from Cora, thanking her for her patience, acknowledging what they agreed to, and offering a discount next month. This is an example where a connection is being made between a person and a technology. But connections can also be made socially between people. Anna's a native English speaker from Sweden, and Anna loves to travel. She's at that time in her life where she just wants to visit as many countries as possible. She's visiting Tokyo. It's her first time in Japan, and she's seeing the sights. And like any good traveler, she has the apps on her phone. She snaps a picture of a sign she can't read. She looks at it. She goes and sees the sights. At the end of the day, she's tired. She's hungry. Across the street, she sees this old, tiny sushi restaurant. She's like, that's where I'm going. So she goes in the sushi restaurant, sits at the bar, pulls out her device, snaps the menu, and does her routine. She figures out what she wants. And while she's doing that, Mr. Tanaka walks up across the sushi bar and greets her. But this time, Anna does something different. Instead of turning her phone around for Mr. Tanaka to read, she opens an app, puts it to the side. She starts speaking English to him. Well, it starts speaking Japanese, and he's just really surprised. He hadn't seen something like this. Well, he interacts with her, takes her order. But it gets better. He is really intrigued by this, but he's also intrigued by Anna. He wants to learn more about her. He wants to learn about Sweden. He wants to learn about her travels. Anna gets to learn about Mr. Tanaka. The fact that he apprenticed at the sushi restaurant when he was a little boy, that he was able to one day buy this restaurant, that he never left Japan in his life. This isn't a situation where conversational AIs are creating connections between people. Now, there are other situations where connections help people. Alex is a little boy. He's been dealing with chronic pain his whole life. His mother's done everything she can. Her name is Jennifer, and she's taking Alex to see 17 different physicians. None of them could solve his problem. One day, out of desperation, she goes into ChatGPT. She puts everything that she shared with all 17 physicians in ChatGPT. But these physicians, many of them had some really good ideas. So she put in the ChatGPT all the information that those physicians provided that she thought would be beneficial. ChatGPT is now making its own connections between what she shared but what those physicians shared and its world knowledge that it already has. It establishes that there's a probability that Alex has this certain very rare condition. ChatGPT suggests it. Jennifer takes that, goes to one of the 17 providers, and said, this is what it could be. That physician orders a test. That test confirms that he has this particular condition. Now, this physician, armed with a proper diagnosis, can set up a protocol to help him. This is an example where connections are built between a mother, a physician, and a system connecting all the dots for them. There are ways that you are going to be using conversational AIs over the next year and a half that you're not even going to realize it. It's not actually something abrupt that's going to happen. In fact, the way we use it now is kind of abrupt. You go to ChatGPT, you go to Claude, you go to Gemini, pick it, but you leave what you're doing to go somewhere else to upload a file and interact with it. But there are two announcements that happened in June that are going to change how we interact with these tools. The first announcement happened at the beginning of June. Microsoft announced their Copilot Plus PCs. That's AI PCs. So any company that creates PCs will be creating these AI PCs. Well, what makes them different? Why are they special? They're just normal PCs, except they have an additional chip, a neural processor. And its whole job is to process these language models, to make sense of the data that you have on your device, to be able to read and understand your emails and your calendar. And on top of that, you have Windows 11 that stitches this all together. And then on top of that, you have all the applications. Not to be outdone, 2 weeks ago, Apple announced Apple Intelligence. Apple already has in their chips, in their silicon, neural processors. They had the hardware already. They just had to put the software on top of it. With Apple Intelligence, the operating system, whether it's your phone or your laptop, has an AI stitched throughout it, conversational AI, so it can make sense of what's on your device. Now, Apple went a step further. They figured out that the processing power on the device can only take you so far, and if what you're asking for, maybe evaluating a very complex spreadsheet, requires more horsepower, they created an additional layer, a supercomputer for Apple Intelligence, where it pushes from your device securely, privately to the supercomputer, it processes it and takes it back to your device and presents it to you. And that's great for more horsepower, but you're still stuck in your world, like you're only processing what's on your device. But what if you need world knowledge? Like today we'd go off to ChatGPT and then come back. Well, what Apple's done is they worked out a deal with OpenAI so that if you need world knowledge, if you need something outside of your device, well then it will say, we can send this off to ChatGPT, would you like us to do that? If you say okay, it will create the prompt. It will send it to ChatGPT, get the results back, and present that in the application where you're already working. You don't have to go somewhere else. So what I encourage you to do is observe these technologies that are being added to the devices you already use every single day, and realize that incrementally, you'll be able to benefit from these conversational AIs to help you be more productive. Now, I'm going to take some questions, if there are any, for a couple of minutes. And if you don't want to ask a question publicly, I'll be around all night to have a one-on-one.